6:07 p.m. Calling this meeting to order. If everyone can please stand to the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. So just prior to returning to regular session, we were in executive session and we were going over the SAW contract and also our superintendent's contract. And with that, we're also missing Tom Tipton. He will likely be coming later into the meeting. Other than that, we have a full complement tonight. This is a study session. There are no public comments made at a study session. Residents may attend the next scheduled business meeting on June 4th, that's just next week, coming fast, and/or contact the board via email at boe@shenschools.org with any comments or questions. All questions come into the Office of Public Information and are shared with the board and/or superintendent as appropriate. Policy questions or concerns are typically addressed by the board president. Operation questions or concerns are typically addressed by the superintendent. With that, can I have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda? First is Deanna, second is Stacy. All in favor? It is 6 in favor. Thank you. And that brings us to the superintendent's report. Dr. Robinson?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hoffman. So we were just discussing how the month of May and June is like one big blur. So a lot of things happen at the end of the year. Before I go into the presentation, Mr. A, I saw him somewhere. I want to say kudos to Mr. Gastononi and his team for 2 great award ceremonies, and certainly the middle school folks for a lot of National and Junior Honor Society ceremonies. And I think next week we start thinking about elementary school moving up ceremonies and 8th grade moving up ceremonies, and it's just like one of those things that remind us of the many things that we're doing as a system. And so while it's a hectic time, it's also a very celebratory time in terms of the success of our students. And I think tonight's presentation is also indicative of that. I'm just going to put 3 of them into context: the Elevate Student Voice, the update on EDI, and the spotlight on K-12 services. As a school district, for years, we have always used this notion of equity and opportunities outcomes. In other words, we fundamentally believe that the students should have a welcoming environment. We should have resources that reflect our students and their experiences and their life travels. And we should also create opportunities for safe spaces for students to use their voices. So in many ways, tonight you're going to hear that. You'll hear about the Student Voice program that several of our students were involved in. You'll hear about some of the focus of our EDI committee. And the librarians will wrap it all up, so to speak, in terms of how we have really changed the complexion of resources that we're providing to students across the board. So tonight, in many ways, defines the fabric, from my lens, of who we are as a school system. We could talk about, state testing and some of the other things that sometimes get a lot of the headline, but the reality of it is about the experiences that students and staff are having, and I think tonight gives you a good glimpse into those experiences. So I'm going to ask Dr. Wilson Turner to actually Mr. A first to come forward to introduce the Elevate Student Voices presentation, and followed by that, Dr. Wilson Turner will give a lead into the update on EDI initiatives, and Sarah Schneller will give a lead into the library services. But I paint that context, so when you're listening to one, think about how everything blends and connects to the next. So Mr. A, thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't say any better. This program, we're going to have Mr. Verga and Ms. Mahowski come up and kind of introduce the students and who was part of it. But as you know, we're always looking to, as the title says, elevate student voices. We just had coffee talks with students. We find if we listen to students, it's a dialogue. They listen to us, we listen to them. And the whole idea is making a safe, welcoming space for students. But really, we want their experience to be a wonderful experience at Shen. We want students to come in. Obviously, we want them to learn in the classroom. We want them to smile. We want them to have a good time at school. We want them to have good weeks, good months. We understand not every day is perfect, but they should have good years. They should have good months. So this is all part of that, and students really need to feel invested in their school and feel like they have a say in the school. It's been a good program so far, and they're gonna talk about some of the things they wanna bring back here to Shen. So, a lot of work was put in by Mr. Verga and Ms. Mahowski and some of our teachers and students. I'm gonna have them come up and kind of lead us through this program, and I know they're gonna turn over to students at some point.
And I'll be the gentle scroller here, so just look at me.
Yeah, I think the second or third slide, Dr. Robinson, we can start right here, second slide.
Yes, however. So Mr. Verga and I are not gonna do a lot of the talking this evening, because ultimately, we do want you to hear from the
And by the way,
students
just
and
a quick
teachers.
introduction of who you are and your
Oh.
title, so not making assumptions.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm Jackie Mahowski. I'm one of the assistant principals at the high school, and we'll introduce everybody as we go through. But just kind of a quick overview of Elevating Student Voices. So this is a program hosted by Capital Region BOCES. This is the second year that they have done it, and we've participated both years, increasing our participation from year to year. The first year, we had about 8 students that did it with Mr. Verga and myself, the 2 administrators. This year, we had 11 students, but we also tagged in 6 teachers, and then we continued to participate. So obviously, the ultimate goal is to continue to get more and more people involved, not only in this program, but also in things that we're hoping to bring back to Shen that are gonna be discussed a little bit later on. The ultimate goal of Elevating Student Voices is to let kids come together from a variety of different schools and be able to talk about the critical issues. Race, social media, equity, mental health, anything of that nature. They pick kind of a topic per session, and then it's sessions facilitated by students with students having these discussions. So our kids get the opportunity to talk to kids from all different districts about how things are for them, share how things are at Shen, and ultimately create some action plans of things we can do to enact change. So you'll see in this whole presentation, we're not necessarily gonna go through every slide, we're mostly just gonna talk about our experiences with the program. But this presentation, after the first couple slides, is all the work of the students. It's everything that they put together for the summit that we had in April and shared out with all the things that we're currently doing at Shen in terms of these critical issues, but also our goals for the future. So you can certainly take some time to look through that. They did a tremendous job on it. It looks fabulous, and that is solely 100% their work. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Verga to introduce everyone.
Thank you. So our students that we've selected are selected for particular reasons, and I'm going to introduce 3 that kind of span some of the profiles that we're looking for. One is Lindsay Malik, who's actually in her second year of the program. She's going to be graduating in a couple weeks. But if you scroll a little bit lower, Dr. Robinson, last year the BOCES put out the logo project and put it out to all the component schools that participate with Elevating Voices to try to create their own logo, and we were fortunate to have our winner be Lindsay, and that's the logo that we continue to use for Elevating Student Voices. So Lindsay will kind of explain a little bit from her lens as a 2-year participant. Anthony Diaz, he's coming to us, he's actually this year transferred in as an 11th grader. He's from FDR down in Hyde Park. He's also a student athlete. You may have seen him on the football field. But he will talk about his experience, and Rohan will come from the 9th grade perspective, who's clearly an emerging leader, and we're going to be tapping into quite a bit over the next few years. But what we've learned since the inaugural year is that we would like to have people build kind of their skills and also their experience that can then be brought to Shen, but have it be an impact for at least more than 1 year. We're lucky that Lindsay was with us for an extra year, but a lot of our students last year were seniors. We had a great time, but that was the one and done, kind of 1 year off that we were not looking to do in the future. So now, kind of knowing that and looking ahead, we do have plans for the next few years, knowing that the project at BOCES is going to continue. But also with selection of staff, we had a number of teachers new this year. As Ms. Michalski said, it was just her and myself facilitating, but now we've extended it to teachers. Mr. Jason and Mr. Assail are 2 of our newer teachers, but were kind of obvious choices with the fact that they could build great relationships with all of our students, always have sort of this positive impact. When they walk into the room, they really do generate energy, and that's really what we were looking for with this group. So they will share their experience from the teacher end. So without further ado, Lindsay, come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Verga. As he said, I'm Lindsay Malik and I'm a senior. I've been involved with ESV for 2 years now. I started last year, my junior year, and I was the only student to have participated for both years now that it's been existent. So last year was the inaugural year of the program and there was a logo design contest. As you know, I submitted my design and it ended up being the logo that represents the program. I think the creation of a logo, the increase in the number of participants, and the increase in overall organization are all testaments to how the program has grown. Along with the ways the program has grown as a whole, Shen's individual involvement has definitely grown as well. This year we had more students and teachers joining us, and there have been more conscious efforts made to take ideas back to our school from the program. I would definitely recommend this program to other students, and I hope that Shen continues to give students a voice through their involvement. I think there's a lot more room for growth, but that being said, I think throughout my 2 years, I can say that a lot has already been done. And just a side note, one of my teachers, my biology teacher, she got involved in the program this year. It's Mrs. Riley. She has nothing but good things to say about it. So I'm really glad that it's brought in new teachers, helped us build relationships like that.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anthony Diaz. I'm a junior, and this is my first year of Elevating Student Voices. So a fun fact about me is that I'm on the football team, and I also do track. I run track. So I came in here my sophomore year, not knowing a lot of people. I was very nervous. Didn't know what to think of this school. It was like a lot of new faces, and Mr. Virgo pulled me over to the side and mentioned Elevating Student Voices. I honestly thought it would be a great program. Did not know what to expect. It was honestly, and this whole year with Elevating Student, it's honestly been one of the greatest things I've done my junior year. It has benefited me so much in ways that I got to meet new people. We met with different districts, students in the district, and I met so many new people. It was a good time. I met Rohan, my first ever discussion. We talked about race, and not a lot of people were able to get into it. So it was just like, I don't know, it was a good time. It was a good time overall. And I honestly think that to bring back, we should have more discussions, have more group discussions. Sorry, I'm so nervous, guys. I'm so nervous. But yeah, Elevating Student Voices is a really great program, and I think many people should be a part of what we have going on. And yeah, that's pretty much.
Good job.
Hi guys, my name is Rohan. I want to thank Mr. Berger for reaching out to me about this program. I just want to say that I've had an amazing experience with this program, and it's just been so great to meet new individuals such as like Anthony, Lindsay. Just you meet so many new people through this program, and not just in the school. Also, we met with other school districts, and I was just able to connect with so many new individuals. And more than networking, we were able to discuss a lot of issues in our community, and then we could kind of pivot and find solutions and how we can address the issues in our school, and also outside of school, what we can do to kind of make it easier for students. Like you were saying before, it's all about the experience that students are having, right? So I think this program really allows us to kind of dive into that and see what these students are really asking for, what they need, and what they're missing right now. I think this program, the potential that it has to really expand and just really cater to students is just going to be amazing in the future. And I'll be happy to be a part of it in the future. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Matt Jason. I'm a social studies teacher here. And one thing that really stood out to me is I was just so proud of our students. I mean, for them to be able to walk in a room filled with strangers and be asked to talk about some very hard, sometimes controversial topics, with honesty and vulnerability, like they just did an amazing job. As a teacher, it was very inspirational for me to be able to work with other colleagues in the area and just to hear about what they might be struggling with at their schools. I'm definitely one to cry at the movies, and I would definitely say that I definitely shed a tear at some of these sessions with some of the conversations that we had. But ultimately, I walked away really proud of being here at Shen. I think like we're definitely like heading in the right direction. We're doing a lot of good things. And as the students mentioned too, like there's definitely room for improvement in order for us to like hit our goal of making sure that every student here at Shen has a sense of belonging and can call this place their home. So I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Asale.
Can I just introduce myself and say goodbye? I think we can. My name's Dan Asale. This is my second year here at Shen. I teach geometry, and ultimately, my first year here, I was just trying to get a sense of what's going on, what type of things is Shen involved with, what can I get involved with. I think that, much like Mr. Jason said, I think Shen is not just headed in the right direction. I think they have supports and programs in place to continue to go in the right direction. We learn through other districts where we kind of fall in that, in terms of EDI, in terms of building an appropriate and supportive community for all of our students. You know, and as hearing from different school districts, I think Shen very much is, if not the forefront, very close to it. Right? A few other schools also are doing some really amazing things that we can learn from, but we also can spearhead some wonderful programs and ideas to help continue to build supportive programs for our students so that they feel this is a space for them where they're building positive experiences. Something that I think, because so many teachers were involved in it, I hope this was a reason for it. We had more sessions where we talked and debriefed about, well, how can we take what happens at BOCES and bring it to Shen and have a wider impact. One of the things that I very much felt when we had our conversations, and from what you heard from students, is the student experience in these programs individually is impactful. It made them be able to talk about things that maybe they didn't feel like they could before, right? That idea of being vulnerable with what they are experiencing and struggling with at school, but also having positive experience in schools. Those conversations happen more at BOCES, and the conversations happen in our small group. The next step is how do we get that to happen for a larger community here at Shen? Not to say we have to overshadow what's happening, but take the things we've learned at BOCES and use them here to have a broader impact. One of the steps that, as the teachers have already made, we've made a bigger list of other students to tap into. So we know we can grow this program for students, and we have these student leaders. You go lead somewhere else. You're great. We're going to miss you tremendously. But we have all these other student leaders that can expand that impact of finding out what's working well for students in the building. What isn't? What steps can we realistically take? And what programs do we already have in place that we can tap into or blend and merge to have that broader impact? I feel very fortunate to be able to be a part of this. I think that being part of this community means being in the thick of what's moving it forward. And I'm grateful to be asked to be part of it and look forward to continuing to do so. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our students. I was also at the Day of Doubt. Do you have some more to add?
Sorry.
Yes.
I would be remiss not to thank Becky Carmen for bringing this program forward to us. She was the one that came to Mr. Berga and I last year with it, so I just ultimately certainly want to thank her for bringing it forward to us and letting us have this experience.
Absolutely. I did see her there that day too.
Yes.
So I missed the first year, and I was invited both years. I can't remember what the conflict was. But after seeing it this year, I thought, oh my goodness, it's just so well done. To also walk over to the table and meet our students, to hear them also talking about their experience, that's pretty exciting. To see them showcasing their work out in the open area outside the GE Theater, to get a chance to see it, they were also showcasing our superintendent. I just thought, oh my goodness. So there's a lot of Shen pride there. But I really, just hearing you speak, that is very exciting, knowing that you're the representatives and that you're going to be here for many more years, growing the program, or at least Rohan will be here for many more years, but your contributions really are very meaningful and impactful, and you're not alone, and I think when more students have that experience, they that sense of belonging that you mentioned, it becomes real. And and also teaching each other how to share their concerns, and then others listening. I can't say that for it. I mean, we could all learn from this. But thank you so much for all your work, and look forward to what comes next year. So we're going to transition into the EDI initiatives, which we just heard about one. So Dr. Wilson's turn.
Good evening. So I'm just going to give a brief introduction. So tonight you will hear from our representatives of our Equity, Diversity, and Inclusivity Committee. And as you may or may not know, we meet together as a large committee several times during the year, but there are also 3 specific subcommittees that are aligned to our district goals to ensure that diversity, equity, and inclusion are a part of the fabric of our organization and tied to how we are able to execute and live our mission and vision. So next slide.
You want to drive?
No, thanks. So we had the pleasure of gathering together most recently to really have a conversation about what the committee's efforts have been, not just over this last year, but over the length of time that this work has been happening at Shen, and to reflect and make specific connections to the essential objectives that align with each of the subcommittees. So if we go to the next slide. Thank you. So tonight you will hear from our 3 subcommittees. You will hear from Organization, Culture, and Environment. You will hear from Curriculum and Instruction, which sits under School and Classroom Experiences, and Personnel and Professionalism. And in their presentations, they will identify for you the essential objectives that they have been working towards over the last few years, and just hear the incredible work that we have been doing here at Shen. So it was fortuitous that the students opened us up, right? Because central to what we do here is to make sure they have a specific experience. And I think these subcommittees really exemplify how we're trying to ensure that that experience lives throughout every facet of our organization. So, without further ado, we will begin with Curriculum and Instruction. We'll have Sarah Chaffee, Academic Administrator for BNL World Languages, and Emma Paradise, 5th grade teacher at Sago, and share what we've been working on.
For a few more weeks anyway. And Kara's none of that, sorry. And Kara's gonna join us too. So I want to start by saying, because I get to be the first person to speak, that the work on the EDI committee for me has been one of the most rewarding and fulfilling experiences that I've had here, and I've had a lot of rewarding and fulfilling experiences here. But the conversations that we have and the work that we're doing feels really relevant and also really urgent. So I'm just going to talk briefly about the first district goal that we focused on was equitable measures of student learning. We have, and many of you may have seen, I know Mrs. Hoffman has a copy of her own, but many of you may have seen us walking around with this book for a couple of years now. This is the Grading for Equity book by Joe Feldman. Lots of us have been reading Joe Feldman's work for a few years, especially since COVID. Some of us have attended his virtual workshops. Several of us were fortunate enough to hear him speak live at the Diversity Symposium on Thought Leaders in Ithaca last summer. And so we're continuing to do this book study and to talk about equitable grading. To further that conversation, all secondary AAs during Superintendent's Conference Day led equitable work with their departments. So that was the common conversation that was happening at Superintendent's Conference Day in March. The Elementary Report Card Committee is also considering how equitable grading impacts report cards at the elementary level. And then there will be more to come and more discussion on this at the Summer Leadership Academy this summer. And with that, I'll introduce Emma Paradise and Kara Chakmakis, my 2 colleagues on the committee. Also just want to mention Mike Utchell couldn't be here tonight. He is my co-chair of the subcommittee, but he couldn't make it tonight.
Hi, my name is Emma Paradise. I'm a 5th grade teacher at Tasago. I joined this committee last year, and another part of this committee was creating weekly messages using the culturally responsive framework. And I have a unique perspective. I was a student here at Shen K-12, and now I come with a teacher perspective. So my goal on this committee was to help teachers in their classrooms figure out what they can do to be more equitable and inclusive. So I was able to create a lot of the weekly messages, and last year I had the experience of making a video that went into the weekly message, so I was able to go into different teachers' classrooms to see if they had anything to contribute. I made a video out of it. I interviewed some teachers, and it was just a really great experience to see how teachers in the district are trying to create a welcoming and affirming environment for their students.
Hi, I am Kara Chekmakis. I have been part of the EDI committee for, oh goodness, almost a decade now, by the direction of my principal, Ms. Erica Ryan, who is also on the EDI committee. It is something I feel very committed to, and I have enjoyed it from the start to where we are now. I just wanted to take a minute to talk about those messages. They have become monthly messages, but they're now being sent out district-wide. Last year, we spent some time sending out these messages weekly, and I just wanted to share some of the feedback. One of the items that we did last June was June is Pride Month, and we had some feedback. One teacher, an anonymous teacher, said, "Thank you for this. It is nice to be in a district and a state where I can be affirmed and supported without fear." We also sent out a weekly message back in February of 2023. February is Black History Month was the theme. And we had a teacher write back, an elementary teacher said, "Thank you for making sure our students have mirrors to see themselves and windows to develop empathy despite differences." To me, this is such a powerful sentence to think about. I have to say that as I stand here, I am juxtaposed between both the EDI committee and the librarians that are about to present to you, and I have to tell you that everyone that I've worked with on the committee, almost everyone I've met with, all the librarians that I work closely with have this incredible amount of sonder, and we walk around with this ability to understand that those around us have a great empathy, and I just am so proud of them, and I'm so proud of the EDI committee for continuing this work despite difficulties. I have to also let you know that our June message coming up, if you are interested, is going to have some really wonderful fiction books, including this one, which I know some of you may have heard of, called Big, by Vashti Harrison. So take a look, because we also have some books listed for adults when you're sitting on the beach and you really just want to build your knowledge for EDI. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before you continue, so do all the subcommittees have student representatives, correct? I know that the one that Sarah's on.
Not personal and professionalism, but the curriculum instruction does and organizational culture.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to add that. I know they're different students than the Elevated Voices students, and they really do contribute. They're part of the conversation. I think that's wonderful. Thank you.
So next up is organizational culture with Lisa Kissinger and Andrea Gallo. And my apologies, Kara, I forgot you were doing double duty tonight, so thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lisa Kissinger. I'm the Academic Administrator for Social Studies, and I am the co-chair of the Organizational Culture Subcommittee with Becky Carmen, who could not be with us today. Our subcommittee is made up of teachers, administrators, students, and parents. Our charge as a subcommittee is to provide leadership and resources to model cultural relevance, cultural responsiveness, and dialogue. We focus on helping all of us see our differences as strengths and not deficits. Over the years, we have taken steps to increase our capacity to understand culture and diversity. Our subcommittee has led and supported professional development for administrators, for teachers, and other staff members to help us learn more about cultural identity, how to navigate difficult conversations, and how to become a more culturally responsive organization. Members of our subcommittee have organized events that have facilitated honest dialogue between staff and students. In fact, celebrated a virtual Shenendehowa in 2020 and have provided the inspiration for many schools to organize their own cultural celebrations. This year, our focus has been on building relationships with community circles and restorative practices. We have led and inspired the sponsorship of community circles at the high school and middle school, and are very proud that those circles have been co-led by students, including some of the students that you met earlier in the Student Voices program. Andrea is going to talk about another thing we're proud of that we did, and then I'll just come back and close with something else.
Hi everyone. So I come in with a slightly different perspective as a parent. So I have two boys. Noah's in 11th grade and Joshua's a freshman. This is my second year, I want to say, on EDI, and I had the opportunity to kind of work with Lisa and the committee on, we read a book, Better Than Carrots or Sticks. I always screw it up and was like sticks or carrots or what is it? But anyway, so I think as a parent, I was like, how is Shen embracing our students, right? So there's this concept, when we encourage every voice, we eliminate barriers. So the book was very enlightening because I thought, how are we going to, with a school with over 11,000 students, be restorative versus punitive, right? That's kind of, we all grew up in, students are suspended and nobody learns anything. We don't get along with any of our peers, and we all come back to school and we're still in the same place we were before. So for me, it's about school environment matters, specifically for my boys, that we genuinely care about our children's, emotional and physical well-being, and that we have like a collective best interest at heart for the students. So when I was reading the book, those were the things that kind of spoke to me, like what is Shen doing when we're talking about restorative, what does that look like? And I love the fact that, we have those students that we are listening to our students. I'm on the partnership team too, and I love when our students tell us, listen to what I have to say because I have a lot of really good things to offer. So I think for me, the takeaway is that we are listening to each other, but most importantly, really listening to our students. So I enjoy this committee tremendously. I just want to keep giving back, so this was a really good opportunity for me to do that. So thank you.
The last thing I wanted to highlight is for next year, look in the fall for our cultural calendar. We are working on putting together an annotated calendar that will teach us all about secular holidays, religious holidays that have an impact on our students, with a brief explanation of what those holidays are. So that's something that we're working on that you'll see in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Erica Ryan, Principal of Shattuckon, who is co-chair for our Personnel and Professionalism Subcommittee.
Good evening. We put together a little timeline that we thought would be helpful because the subcommittee for personnel and professionalism that I co-chair with Malik Jones has been quite busy over the last few years. Currently, we don't have any student members, but we have in the past, we have parents and administrators and teachers on our committee as well. So we started by exploring the profile of a Shen employee, and we paid close attention to the section outlining cultural competence. The committee decided to survey the high school students to find out if the actual Shen school experience is in alignment with the expectations outlined on that profile document. We asked the students questions that would allow us to consider if the tenets in the profile document related to cultural competence were realized in the Shen student experience. The majority of our students were aware of the profile document and responded that they feel that Shen employees demonstrate the characteristics within the document. A big takeaway from this survey, which you'll hear again later, was the significant impact that our support staff, bus drivers, aides, monitors, have on our students and how that came through in our survey. So during the 22-23 school year, we watched a webinar called Diversity is a Fact, Inclusion is a Choice by Timothy Clark, and the committee actually then decided to read his book because we were so enlightened by the webinar. So we read the book, The 4 Stages of Psychological Safety. This book has been described as a guide to creating an environment where employees feel included, fully engaged, encouraged to contribute their best efforts, and safe to speak up and challenge the status quo. Building on the student survey and what we learned from this book, we decided to survey our support staff. Our intention was to establish a benchmark for employee satisfaction and perceived value in their role. The results from this survey were shared with all administrators, and we put together a bank of resources that administrators and department leaders could do to further engage our support staff, understanding the impact that they have on the Shen student experience. This school year, we focus more on the recruitment and retention process. We love reading, apparently on this committee, so this year we read Hiring for Diversity and discussed how we could revise some of our existing recruitment and hiring practices to be more inclusive and encourage more diverse candidates. This subcommittee worked closely with the Human Resources Department to learn about some of the many ways that our district is already considering some of these high impact practices outlined in the book. So next year and moving forward, we hope to continue to explore the recruitment and retention practices, offering some recommendations to HR department for consideration. I just want to say overall, Malik and I have been doing this for a few years now, and this is a very thoughtful and engaged group and doing a lot of really important work. So thank you.
Thank you. It's really good work and kids enough as far as everyone feeling valued and respected. And so thank you all for this important work. And you'll continue to see us too next year. I'm not sure who's going to be representing each group, but we will be there. Absolutely.
Great.
Good evening, everybody. So we move on to libraries and librarians. So often when we think about libraries, we think about books and reading. You guys are going to hear tonight and see all else that there is behind our librarians and all that they do to make our libraries spaces that are truly hubs, where community is built, where curiosity is inspired, and where our children do begin to develop a love of reading and literature and thinking. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to them. They are going to introduce themselves one by one, and then a few of them are going to present to you tonight.
It's a PDF. You don't have a PowerPoint version.
It should work.
So, scrolling.
So I can't scroll.
Well,
I just know when the page turns.
yeah, but you have to like scroll twice. See, PDF doesn't come out as screens.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
Just twice. Just give me a look and I'll scroll for you.
Here we go.
Go ahead.
We didn't want to block.
Alright, good evening. My name is Susan Kirby-Lamont. I am the school librarian at Scano Elementary School. And these are my colleagues, Steve Davidson from High School East, Kate Pierce from Tasago, Kara, you met a few minutes ago, Kristen Bruno from Orangen, Mindy Holland from Opte, Laura Schlegel from Carrigon, Becky Manor from Arenda, Katie Bogardis from Tango, and Erin Doherty from High School West. And we truly appreciate the opportunity to present to you today. I love that we matched your theme as well with our title, Our Libraries Connect Us. So we are very excited to answer the age-old question, what exactly do librarians do? So we thought we would follow the TikTok Insta trends and share just a very quick video with you.
It will work. I checked it. This is worth it, guys.
Good.
Yes,
Click
so
on the D.
On who?
On the D.
click on it somewhere
Here?
around there.
Here we go.
I think so.
You want these now?
Last one.
Sure, it's only a couple minutes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm a Shen librarian. Of course, we read books about plants, grow plants, and record observations with extended day kindergartners.
I'm a Shen librarian. Of course I do the morning announcements. I'm a Shen librarian, so of course I chair the EDI committee at Opte, and I'm the cultural arts representative. I'm a Shen librarian. Of course I know the name of the book that you read in second grade that had a blue cover.
Of course I'm a librarian. Third generation, and I teach technology.
Hey kids, what did you make? Hey kids, what are you making?
I'm a Shen librarian. Of course my former students come back to volunteer and then walk over to Coda in the morning.
Yay!
I'm a librarian, of course. I read with stuffed animals. My class. That's a pretty good one.
I'm a Shen librarian. Of course I wear reading t-shirts, drink copious amounts of coffee out of my librarian mug, and have wonderful book clubs.
The book club is the best!
I'm a Shen librarian. Of course I go to professional development. I'm a lifelong learner.
I'm a Shen librarian. Of course my elementary students can come on a pass during recess for makerspace.
Take 8. Where are Shen librarians?
Hey, what are you two doing? I take you probably have assignments you could be working on. Hi, I'm a Shen librarian, and of course I help students stay on task and productive in the library. Most of the time.
So that just gives you a glimpse, and Teresa's comment about the book with the blue cover is something we live probably weekly. So I'm sure many of you have heard that the school library is the heart and the hub of the school. And when we think hub, we of course think of the innovation and engagement graphic that Dr. Robinson created. It is credit tagged there. And we're hoping that we will show you how we too are helping to keep us pointing windward. We do have a mission statement which we use to guide our collection development decision-making, but some of the key elements of it are that we really are here to inspire curiosity, promote joy, and develop a lifelong love of reading. Yes. And we're going to get into the aspect where we talk about global collaboration and collective work. Our key word on here is connector. School libraries, you can keep going, please. School libraries do connect us in many ways. Yes, if you would stop right here, I'm excited. I'm sorry, I did submit it as a slideshow.
Yeah, I know.
I know, thanks. I know, I get it. This, we could just present to you for 10 minutes about this most recent visit. It Takes a Village, Peter H. Reynolds author visit that we just had last week, and it truly connected the entire district with an author in Massachusetts. It ended up having 3 components: 2 years of planning, 3 separate components, which included 4 author presentations at High School East, where we bussed all of the 1st through 5th graders from all 8 elementary schools to hear Peter, and he is the author of The Dot, so you might be familiar with his work. His big tagline is create bravely and growth mindset and all of those great things. You can see how proud our students were. In addition to talking about his work, he did the draw along. And then if you can go to the next slide, please.
I'm gonna break script
Oh,
because
go
these
ahead.
guys will be too humble about it.
Oh.
This was awesome. This was all of the kids coming to this building. They're all in the audience. The author's there. They're looking around. They're like, "That's him. I know that's him." Like it's a rock star. And that doesn't happen by itself. This was a really amazing event. So they won't praise it enough, but it was very cool.
Thanks, Steve.
Pause right there. I think Dr. Wilson Turner may have come to the rescue, I think.
Ooh. Oh, with the slideshow? Yeah, it might be easier. Well, I'll just keep talking about Peter H. Reynolds, I guess. Because honestly, let me just rifle off all of the thank yous until we get back to the pictures. So Kim Mature, our Renda teacher, came to me asking how we could bring him to the district. He's really a big deal. And Todd Jagny and Jill Florio are the ones who really helped Kim and I get it going. Matt Davis procured funding, Austin Little at transportation. I mean, I feel like I'm at the Oscars and I need to thank my agents, but really and truly, like, as Steve said, everybody at High School East, the aides, Kim and Mary, Jody Perlman in my office, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And as you can see from the image, the second component of the visit were 3 Create Bravely family nights. They were like STEM nights at the schools. I know Mrs. Hoffman was there at one of them. And these were great fun. So many volunteers needed and able to pull it off. You can see some of the high school volunteers who even showed up there in that image with Peter. And then the third component is the software pilot of Animationish and FatMaker Studio. Scano and Arenda are doing that. You saw some of it in Becky's aspect of the video that we just showed. And just to show how impactful this whole visit was, the final image of the little girl, Peter shared with everyone the top secret password that would get you a prize if you showed up at his bookstore in Dedham, Rainbow Potato. And on Friday, our first day off for the long weekend, I had received an email from his people saying already 3 different Shen families had stopped in Dedham, Massachusetts, saying Rainbow Potato. So you can see how excited, that's one of my first graders right there. So it was so impactful, and Steve is right. It was a huge lift. Because we are the district that we are, we were able to pull it off. So I'll come back next week with more pictures.
Can I just add?
Sure.
I talked to him right at the end, and he says he's never been in a school district like this with the supports in place to make that, well, the earlier slide, all that happen. I only saw that, but his sister Jane was also there, and she was showing me images from High School East, and she was talking about that experience, and I thought, oh my goodness, I cannot believe I missed that. But he wants to come back. He wants to do this again. But he had so much praise for how well organized it was, and that made it also a lot more fun for him.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Cool. That's good to hear, because you never know until you get into the thick of it, right? And everyone was so amazing. Okay, so it's a big village. Here we go. There are other ways we make connections too, though, besides Peter Reynolds. And one of our very big partnerships we have is with the Friends of the Library 2 Towns 1 Book Committee. There you see Dr. Robinson at the Brownie Bake Off. We do professional development, which librarians offer through BOCES at the state level, and we are involved in lots of other ways. One exciting partnership Michelle Horstmeyer, the Gowanna librarian, did with Jess Claremont, the art teacher, was to craft these beautiful dragons during, to celebrate Lunar New Year, I should say. It was multicultural, interdisciplinary, and now they have this great art display. There are many book connections that we make. Obviously, we're librarians, but Mindy Holland and Laura Schlegel at Octay and Carragon, respectively, have really gone to the fore for the One Book, One School project. And here the buildings have laid out certain titles that hit different learning objectives. They have plans for projects. All the classes participate. Artwork is displayed, but I think the most important aspect is that notes really do go home to families so they can continue the conversations around the dinner table. Instruction, yes, we are teachers. Okay, our school library programs are, they're scaffolded and recursive, but one of the things that really is very exciting about being a librarian is that our lessons can be timely and relevant. We're not always tied to a pacing guide or a specific content area, so we can really lean into fun experiences like prepping for the solar eclipse. And I know a lot of people did, but we can go a little deeper. We have that ability. And it is a continuum of learning. It's kind of hard to see, but in the upper corner, those are some notes that a second grader took. And on there, she has cited her sources. She is learning how to take bulleted notes to prevent plagiarism. On the right, a different student took their notes using labels and diagrams. They are learning skills that, you know, we each think differently, and so we're going to function differently as learners. And this is a continuum. So these skills are what they're learning from kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade. It just looks a little different because the kids get bigger. And I am fortunate at Scano. I have a pretty good working collaborative relationship with many of the teachers, the classroom teachers, special area teachers, the AIS and special ed teachers. And so I am able to do a lot of enrichment or support small group work because of the flexible scheduling. It enables us to really hit point of need if it's just a little mini unit, or it could be a year-long project like a book club.
And as we look at these images, some of these groups are mixed, like the first graders in the corner are not all from the same class. And as you can see, we even mix grade levels so that they can support one another. And with that, I'm gonna call Steve over, because I think we'll be up to innovation.
Innovation. Oh, can we get to the next slide? Awesome. So one part of this job, I've been here 20 years and I've been in this room for 20 years. And it didn't look like this, and there's a lot of things changed. So looking at these pictures, it's almost, it kind of looks like you get used to things immediately. Like, oh, everyone's got their own device. That was science fiction, like 2 years before it happened. So looking at stuff, what's changed, but what's stayed the same. And if you look, these are good pictures of this because we're looking, what are we looking at? Well, we've got kids with devices. At the high school level, we did one of the biggest changes, but it happened a decent while ago, is that the database. You came in here for research in 1980, we're gonna look at book sources, and then we're gonna get reference sources. We're gonna get these things. We still have the same reference sources, same titles, but a database is way easier to deliver it to you, because everyone can see it at the same time. So we've switched over to that for that. As a result of that, we can do things we couldn't do before. We have college level JSTOR, scholarly journals. Those are things we just talked about. Well, when you get to college, you're going to use these. We can do them in 9th grade. They can see it and get familiar with it there. But what's also kind of interesting and exciting is that as we've gone to the one-to-one devices and we're going down to the younger kids, is there's databases, and like you like these databases because it's published information, it's vetted information. It's the same as what was in the print sources. But they make, we have Pebble Go, which is catered just towards the younger kids. That's what you're seeing there. So if you showed me this picture 10 years ago, I'd be like, how is this possible, right? But it is there, but we're really sort of doing the same things we always did. We're just making, taking advantage of it. Oh, this is cool, all right. So, this is my experience is like, I'll give you this story, this is very short, I promise. So being, talking to other adults, talking to adults coming through for open house, not so much anymore, but at a certain age, you'll be there and I say, oh yeah, I work at Shen. And there'll be alumni, and they'll be, oh, and a certain age, the best part of my day is I would come to the library, this room, and I'd go and check out a record, and then I would go down to the study, where those study carrels are, and there'd be like a turntable and the big, like, you know, pilot things, and I'd listen to like Pink Floyd, the 8th period or something, and I know that they were sitting there like saying, nothing will ever get better than this, right? And so what I've come to see is like almost any new technology, when it comes out, it gets dropped in a library, and they figure out what to do with it. I guarantee you the first big beige PC was somewhere in here. If you came here a few years ago, before the Chromebooks, you would see 65 computers on the floor, and then 2 other rooms with 60 computers, because it was inconceivable that we would have these devices. And now we have it, and then with the redesign, it looks a lot different. This, a few years back, Global Foundries asked us to be part of a program where they were piloting putting these VR computers into a bunch of local high schools. We got it, it was tremendous. And then the program they stopped supporting it. We had a system that didn't work, it got used so much, and then the PTA stepped up and was awesome and got us an updated system. So you say, what does this have to do with the library? And basically what it does is a central space, so we figured out what to do. And over the course of having this, we use it with the architecture program. They'll do AutoCAD, and then there's a component where you can walk through the house in this virtual library. We loaned it to Mr. Murray in the art. There's a painting program he uses, and they put things in there. There's a teacher who does a thing on trench warfare, and there's like a 3D movie of being in the middle of it. And it's also a big carrot. Like, we use it for kids. We're motivating them to get to a certain point, and it's like this is something they want to do. We use it an awful lot. The life skill kids come in every week, and we use it with them as well. So the answer is yes. If it's in this environment, we're going to make use of it, and it's the best place to be as we move forward with it. Couple more. So looking at these pictures, what else has changed is, you know, what does this place look like? You're in this, we are in a room that was designed to be, well, we are going to have Chromebooks. We want to do innovative things. We want this not to take 4 hours to set up, so let's get furniture that can do things like that. Let's see what kind of seating we can get. The Future Ready grant program has been tremendous. And the teachers have, a lot of librarians, and libraries are going to look a little different. They're going to be a little more open. There's going to be, like, how do we make an inviting area for reading? How do we quickly make a cool area for collaboration? So that's what you'll see going through These spaces, it's still the same, still the hub, but like we can think about things a different way. I think we got one more picture with what this looks like there. And so, yeah, it doesn't always have to be a big change. If you look at this room, for example, you don't see a lot of technology because it's all, you know, this amazing system that I don't even need to know how it works to have all of these devices wireless. Then we can open up the space and have some collaboration areas and different things like that. So changing, but making use of technology, but also getting back to kind of the basics of it. That's it. Oh, Chango goes, okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Coding is innovation.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So let me tell you about this. This is Chango and they're doing coding. Someone's got to do better than me on this. I don't know. Got more details.
Well, so at Chango, Katie at Chango initiated this new coding
She was
project.
about to say something.
Yeah. Oh, you want to?
I can talk. Yeah. So at Chango for Computer Science Week every December, we do a whole unit on coding, starting with code.org. Sort of to introduce the kids, we talk about how they can code with a buddy so that you get that social emotional piece of taking turns, who's the driver, who's the coder. And we get to express all of these different commands with logical thinking and critical thinking and creativity and how to solve the problem in the most efficient way through all of these different expressions. We've got Ozobots, which we received through a grant, Dash robots. It's an opportunity for fifth graders who don't participate in chorus or orchestra or band to come in for additional enrichment opportunities once they've gotten those skills already earlier in the year. So it's been an awesome project for me to take on.
Great. All right, so getting back to the hub, cultural competence. Librarians have been leading in the EDI cultural competence space for many years now. As you can see in the top corner, that's a slide from a superintendent's conference day presentation we worked on with Kathleen Stranges. You already heard about our weekly messages from last year. We have resources, choice boards, book lists going out to students, staff, families this year and always. Our EDI work is not just digital, we also bring it into our physical spaces. We have student voice helping with displays, book selection. You've heard about windows and mirrors and the importance of that. You can see here just how wonderful it is, the kids with Mindy at the bottom and their Just Right books. Our populations are diverse in many ways. We have, in this slide, students accessing materials and programming in various ways to support their learning, audio, virtual, board books. Here's an example of a lesson that Karachak Makis at Shadakhan worked on. She created an atmosphere for students to discuss the importance of representation in our libraries and in the books we choose to read. Months later, a student purchased the book used in the lesson at the book fair because it made such an impact on her. Engagement. Teresa Proler at Acadia made it her goal this year to increase foot traffic and student engagement. As Steve mentioned earlier, the Future Ready grant was very helpful in many ways. Teresa took advantage of that, and students, teachers, and stakeholders are now using the library in ways that are collaborative, functional, and flexible. Pets. It's not breaking news that kids do love animals. We do use animals, both real and fake, in incredibly engaging ways for our readers, and we do have a clip from High School West that I think will play. Yep. These are the therapy dogs enjoying the library. And look at how engaged those high schoolers are. All right. High School West. Erin Doherty at High School West has made it her goal this year to increase student voice and belonging in the library. Here you see students making Taylor Swift friendship bracelets, blackout poetry contests, and of course, the class mascot from the class of 2027 is housed in the library, welcoming everyone. Arenda, Becky Menorad Arenda is one of our leaders in the Peter H. Reynolds Fab Maker Studio pilot. This is a makerspace thing, and it's a great example of whole group STEAM instruction. Becky is leading students through the engineering process with all of its inherent challenges and successes. Makerspaces are something that our libraries all have in different ways. Students truly love this type of hands-on collaborative learning.
We have students accessing these spaces, whole class, small groups, drop-in models, whatever works for the students, their collaborative teachers, and our library spaces. We do love it. Fostering the love of reading. This is truly where our hearts lie. Reading is the linchpin to all of education. You can't solve a math problem if you cannot read. So we work on this at all times in all ways. Studies have shown that reading, particularly fiction reading, is associated with greater empathy and perspective taking. We need more of this in the world, not to mention it is fun. Here's an example of Orangen. Kristen Bruno at Orangen has connecting students with book joy through her popular March Madness reading bracket. Students are reading and voting for their favorites. At Tasago, I started 2 new family book clubs. These are grown-up and student book clubs working together, reading books, and meeting at Tasago. Some people think that as our kids get older and become independent readers, they don't benefit from read-alouds anymore. This is not true. Kids are never too old to be read to and experience the joy of story with their families, not to mention all the benefits of being read to: critical thinking skills, increased comprehension, vocabulary, fluency. I know I should stop. Books are our passion. We are working in innumerable ways to connect readers to the books that they will fall in love with.
There are so many events, and I was remiss in not mentioning that many of the things that we're highlighting are happening across the district in many different ways. We have 12 libraries, 12 librarians, so many great students, so we just tried to pull out a few. But we are all trying to promote this idea of reading outside of the school day, really making reading part of the daily routine, whether it's evening, weekends, and especially over summer vacation. And one way that we do that is by involving the families for evening events and offering summer book borrowing for our students. Lots of other great ways. We've got book selfies at West, Readers Theater, flashlight reading, literary character potatoes, so many author and illustrator visits, and it's sounding like we're a bit of a one note, but they are so important for our kids. First, it gives them some ownership. They feel empowered knowing this body of work, right? This person's body of work. And then also they actually realize that authors and illustrators are humans, and they can be one too. And then finally, all of this brings us to the class of 2023. These are some of my students who stopped by the library last year at the walkthrough, and they were at Scano when we had Jeff Kinney, who does Diary of a Wimpy Kid, at Scano's Tasago. So truly those author visits are impactful. And before I say thank you and goodbye, I forgot to mention thank you to IMS for all of their help with the Peter H. Reynolds author visit. I really do need more time. Thank you.
I just want to quickly close, and I hope I don't butcher this saying too much, but Dr. Robinson often will say, it's not about what we get credit for, or what I, as one individual, get credit for, but about what we're able to do collectively, and the experiences that we're able to offer our students. And I think I can take credit for none of this. They are a group that is, they are a group that is empowered to do what is best for our kids in terms of really, truly tapping into that curiosity that all kids are born with, and that sometimes when they come to school, they lose in different ways. And our libraries and our librarians work very diligently to reach out to all stakeholders, as you can see here, teachers, families, everyone across the district, to make sure that they are pulling not just students into those experiences, but they are helping to support all of the experiences across the district in that way. So for that, I just want to thank them, as well as the work that they put into this presentation, because leading up to this, they did have the Peter Reynolds author visit and many other things going on, and they felt it was important. They knew the importance of being up here and sharing their work. So thank you for listening, and thank you guys for doing it.
Thank you. That was fun, by the way. Your energy definitely it was felt, and so I think your kids are very fortunate to be greeted by that energy every single day. So thank you again.
Good. To transition a little bit, stand on the book realm somewhat. So Cecily, want to introduce?
So good evening again. Tonight I'm bringing you our proposals for new textbooks and course proposals that come as a result of the work of our Instructional Program Advisory Council. Again, as you may know, this is a diverse stakeholder group that comes together to review any program implications for the coming school year prior to them coming before the Board of Education. So tonight I'll start with new textbooks. The first of which is Bridges AIS Mathematics. This is a program that was piloted by Gina Volson, our academic administrator for elementary math and science, to provide additional resources for our AIS providers who teach both ELA and math, to ensure that they have concrete materials to utilize to help develop not just the procedural math, as they say, but also the conceptual math that students need to develop to understand fundamentally math instruction. And so Gina conducted a pilot with AIS teachers to ensure that the resource would meet their needs, and brought that forward for IPAC and now bring forward to the board for consideration. The next textbook is Real World Math. This is alignment with a new course that we approved in December. And this is the required textbook required by Hudson Valley Community College for this math course to be offered for college credit at Shenendehowa. We did not have a choice in the selection, but did go through and vet the textbook with our traditional process to ensure that it would meet our standard as well. Next is AP World History Modern. This replaces the 2012 textbook that we currently have, which does not offer a digital component, and no longer truly aligns with the AP course outline. And as a result, we'll bring on this textbook and pilot a digital resource to see how that can be utilized with this course. Criminal justice and psychology are both new courses also approved in December. And so Ms. Kissinger, who's here this evening, also took these through a robust pilot program with her team to review the textbooks and to make a decision after looking at several textbooks to determine what will be most useful in our courses. And so those are here presented as well tonight. And next, our new courses that came to IPAC this spring is the grade 6 health course. And you may remember that this course was proposed in conjunction with funding received from our RECUPS grant. And the intention of this course is to really focus on the transition for our middle school students as they leave 5th grade and enter 6th grade. And really focus on their mind and body wellness, their social emotional learning, and overall mental health, so they can navigate that transition that is so unique from elementary to middle school. It ends up being a 10-week course that rotates every 3 days. And we work closely, Ms. Carmen and Mr. Hopkins at the middle school work closely together to ensure that it could be aligned in the middle school schedule. So with all of our new college courses, some which were converted from honors courses, some which now we offer for AP and college courses, IPAC recognized that there were some discrepancies in how we had named courses and wanted to ensure that there was consistency in both naming and weighting in alignment with our current Board of Education policy. So a subcommittee of our IPAC, including our counselors and Mr. Matt Davis, came together and started to look at what would be the best naming convention to make sure that was clear to students and families, and to ensure that our weightings were reflective of the college level, honors level, etc. courses that students would be taking. So as a result, all college and high school courses, regardless of which university offers them, will have the prefix of COLL to indicate to colleges and universities on the transcript that this was in fact a course offered for college credit. All AP courses will maintain their AP name because that's something that is already recognized on the college transcript. All honors courses will continue to be weighted at a 1.03 multiplier, and all AP and applicable college courses will be weighted at 1.06, which is consistent with policy. And finally, at our IPAC this spring, Ms. Peverly, our academic administrator for math at the secondary level, brought forth a recommendation, again in partnership with the middle school administrator team, to consolidate and rename the final course for algebra at the middle school level. Right now it has several names because there are several pathways by which children can reach it. So if you look here, if you're accelerated math, you could be accelerated coming into 6th grade by taking 7th grade math, that's the one towards the middle. You could be accelerated in 7th grade by taking a 7-8 math, basically consolidating 2 years of math into 1 math. Or you could be double accelerated and arrive at that same measure as a 7th grader. However, they were all called different things. Math 8/Algebra 1. And that causes challenges for the transcript as well. In the future, we want to be able to have students have that credit. So the recommendation was to change the course to Algebra 1 Honors. And that goes well with, I'm quizzing myself, NCAA.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So to ensure that those can be awarded for those credits. And we had conversations about merging these two groups of students who've taken different pathways to acceleration into what is supposed to be a similar course and ends in the exact same exam. IPAC, true to form, asked great questions and ensured that the courses would be aligned and that students would receive the instruction necessary to be fully prepared for the course that ends in the same exam. It has the added benefit of also making it a little easier to schedule and reduces the number of what we call singletons when schedulings, and that's the one-off courses that you're trying to fit into the schedule. Those are what I have proposed for you this evening, and I just want to take a second to publicly thank the Instructional Program Advisory Council for their dedication and commitment and always willingness to raise challenging questions to make sure we've thought through all of the pieces and to think about what the impact ultimately is for our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm wearing a few hats.
Okay, it's hard to believe it's been a year since I last gave this presentation, but I am back with the update about our budget exit poll and just some of the information around what people had to say in that. So the demographics, and I think this piece in particular is important as we look to who is voting in terms of where we can grow with voters, where we're seeing more voters from. So this year we saw an increase in voters from Malta, and we saw the largest decrease in voters from Clifton Park and Half Moon. Just overall this year, we've had 2,348 voters, which is a slight decrease from last year, which was 2,417.
And Cal, these numbers just represent only those who completed the exit survey.
Right, so these are just that, and that you'll see in the next slide, the percentage, it's about, 12% of voters completed the exit poll, which is, last year we had 15%, historically it's always fallen between 12 and 17, and we actually saw the greatest drop in those completing paper exit polls. Because we offer 3 different ways, right? People can take the paper version, they can take it on the Chromebooks that we provide there, or they can use the QR code and take it on their phone. So the nice part about that is I can waste less trees next year in the number of printed ones that I put out. So we had, also in the last one, the majority of our voters are ages 31 and over. And 85% of the voters are not employees of the district. 81% of poll takers voted in favor of the budget, and 93% listed, so we give a number of options that people can choose in terms of what was the greatest factor in their vote. And maintaining quality programs across the years has continued to be what people have listed as the greatest factor in their vote. 96% listed quality staff as very important for their, when it comes to the budget, maintaining quality staff, and rigorous and relevant curriculum. After that, and academic, social, and emotional health support services. This is consistent, these 3 in this order, that there's a decent list that this comes with, you all have seen the survey. These 3 in this order have continued to be what people list as their highest factors. 76% feel that Shen is being led in the right direction. I think this is important. Sometimes it may not feel that way with some of the feedback that we get, but 76% feel like our administration and our board are leading us in the right direction, and that's a small increase from last year, so that's good. And 91% say excellent or good quality of education, and again, that has been consistent from previous years. When it comes to taxes, 7 out of 10 feel that the taxes are reasonable.
This is down a little bit from last year, down 3%. 6 out of 10 feel that they would be willing to pay more under the tax levy, pay more than the amount allowed under the tax levy limit. And again, this has stayed the same. We've seen a lot of consistency in these, which is a good sign. In terms of communications, 57% feel that the district provides good, sound information all of the time. And I believe we're at 23% that said most of the time. So that's great. An interesting piece of this, the top 3 ways that people say that they are getting, and now these aren't going to add up to 100 because there are a number of options that people could choose on. They could choose more than one option. But these are the 3 that ranked highest in terms of where people say they're getting their district information. And newspapers used to be in the top 3, and this year is the first time they fell off the top 3, replaced by students. I think that's just an interesting thing to consider, that has fallen off as being a top way that people are getting their district communication. Yes. And so that's just, oh, and then we have comments. So we have a comment section where people can just give us some feedback or things they want us to know, hot tips and tricks, whatever it may be. We tend to see some trends in them, and so I provided you some of the trends here. I think that these are a good representation of kind of what appeared over and over in some of the comments. I also, thanks to Vanessa, you all should have received some specifics that fell under each of these categories last week. But transportation, there's definitely a large split between electric and regular, and just people feeling very strongly either way. People wanting updates about the Early Learning Center, which is great because we do have plans to provide a lot of updates about the Early Learning Center, so I'm glad that people want that. A lot of keep up the great work. I think that's important to share because sometimes the people that are most willing to give feedback are sometimes people that have not so great things to say, but there was a lot of positive things that people had to say about what we were doing and the quality of education we were providing their students. People that wanted us to teach cursive seemed to come up a lot. Just sharing what I was reading. Air conditioning in buildings, additional supports for special education. People love the variety of our extracurricular programs, especially within the high school. That came up a lot, that people think that we have great diversity in our extracurricular offerings. And in the future, people would like to know more about our Board of Education candidates. They're very curious about you all and what you stand for. So that's an overview of the exit poll.
Good feedback, thank you.
Hey, that's it for me, thank you.
That's it, okay. So that means it's back to me. Moving into the action items, gotta make sure I'm doing it. So I'm gonna group the first 3. Can I have a motion to certify A, the budget vote, B, the Board of Education member vote, and C, the bus purchase proposition? First is Stacy, second is Petra. Any comments? All in favor? It is 6 in favor. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Item D. Can I have a motion to approve the capital project change orders? This is for work that's being done at Kiwanis. First is Gusta, second is Stacy. Any comments? All in favor? It is 6 in favor. That motion passes. Thank you. And then we're going to move to E. Can I have a motion to approve the donations from Brookfield and Momentum Appreciation? First is Gusta, second is Petra. Any comments? I just want to make a comment, if no one else has a comment, to thank these 2 companies. Their generous donations made it possible so that our 3 middle school robotics teams could advance to national tournaments and also provide them supplies and equipment that they definitely needed to make that happen. So very appreciative. All in favor? It is 6 in favor. Thank you very much. Next up, Ms. Galea with staffing recommendations.
Good evening. So we have a short list of staffing recommendations. Would like to point out 2 individuals that we have here with us tonight. We have Madeline Wright, who is actually returning to Shen. We're appointing her as an academic administrator for ENL and world languages. And Kristen Lennon McMahon, who is currently a class assistant principal here at Shen, will be moving into the position of academic administrator for integrated business, facts, and tech.
Thank you. Very exciting. Is Madeline here too?
Yes.
Yes, they're both here.
Oh, there she is.
Jenny's blocking the sun.
Yes, she's blocking it. It's okay, I didn't need to make it move. All right, with that, can I have a motion to approve the staffing recommendations? First is Petra, second is Stacy. Any comments? Yay!
Can we have them come up here?
Yes, can you come up? Yes. Oh, wait, all in favor?
You gotta vote on it.
6 approved. Come
Almost
on
didn't
up.
make it.
The motion passes, yes.
Kristen, you want to just do the, in the loop, Maddie can follow you, in it.
Inside.
Jackson, you can check this.
Oh, good to see you. Congratulations. Welcome back. Good to see you. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Yes, please.
I just want, just a quick comment, knowing it's been a long night. However, I think just to point out that Maddie, if you don't mind me the informality, Maddie was one of the first, when we started this whole concept of growing our own, she was a teacher here for us. She was young, enthusiastic, she got a degree, and she wanted to learn as much as she can. And she worked a lot with Sarah Chaffee, ironically, as well as some folks in high school. So she was one of the first group of people to say, you know what, hey, I believe in growing our own, and I'm willing to go beyond, and did a lot of great stuff, a lot of initiatives she kicked off. And, you know, like a lot of times you say, you know what, sometimes you gotta go and spread your wings, get some experience on your belt, and when opportunities present themselves, you never know. And fast forward, 3 years, I think, she's back. Similarly, Kristen has always had a desire to do different things within the system, and took upon herself to collaborate with Rose and some other folks over the past year or so. Again, and I share that because we want to bring in great people into the system, and when we have great people in the system who are willing to grow and learn, we want to keep those great people in the system. So I share that with the board because oftentimes you see the names, but there's the backstory, right, behind some of the folks that we bring in and the recommendations that we make to the board that add value to the table. So certainly pleased to have both of them, and we'll be starting the process to backfill Kristen's position, which creates another potential opportunity for us to add someone else to the table. And it's worthwhile. So again, I want to emphasize that point, and certainly glad to see Maddie back, because I remember her when she first approached me and said, hey, I want to do this administrative thing, and I was like, okay, here we go, kid, let's do it. And now she's doing it, so congratulations to you.
Thank you. Yes, congratulations to you both. Thank you for that. It's always good to have the backstory. Does someone else want to, nope? Okay.
No, I remember her at orientation.
All right, so with that, we're going to move on to G. Can I have a motion to approve the 24-25 meeting dates and the reorganization meeting on July 9th, 2024? First is Petra, second is Stacy. Any comments or questions? All in favor? 6 in favor. The motion is passed. Thank you. And with that, we have all of our action items, and then we're going to move into the order. And this is an opportunity for the board, the members of the board, to discuss salient district-related matters, or Jackson, and from a policy perspective, or just to get a shout out. So I turn it over to the floor. Anything to share? Yes.
I just say thanks everyone for the vote, and congratulations to our new board members. Welcome. Good luck. That's it.
Actually, thank you. When we're going to do the vote, I had it in my notes to also congratulate you once again, and thank you for plunging into this service. It's really important work, and so we very much appreciate your bravery, and we're looking forward to having you at the table. And if your family members are, make sure you bring them at the orientation date. That's a very special ceremony, but also so that I can tell them you know, you're not gonna get to see them very often.
The organizational meeting,
June fourth.
not the
June ninth one.
orientation.
The
June
Organization.
4th, next business meeting, we'll be recognizing.
Oh, yes, our board members, yes, the ones that are.
And executive board members. Right.
No, I'm referring to the reorg meeting where, we'll be taking.
Where they sworn in, yeah,
Right.
July 9th. Right.
So, everyone received a letter also tonight. This is reminding everyone about the ninth grade awards that's coming. It's on June the 11th, so that date did change. I just realized that. It was originally June 12th. Right?
No.
I had it as the 11th.
You did have it as the 11th. Okay, it's 6:30 at High School West Auditorium. And they are asking them to get there a little bit early for that one. And also, this Friday is Shengo's 50th anniversary assembly, and so if you can, they're asking that we get there by 1:45 p.m. So I hope that you can make it. And that's all I have for shout outs. Anything, Jackson? Nothing? Congratulations. I hear that you're the next year's vice president for STA. Awesome. Got a shout out for Jackson. So with that, can I have a motion to adjourn? First is Jason, second is Stacy, all in favor. It is 6 in favor. Meeting's adjourned, and we're gonna go right into our